Okay, students, we have to continue with our chapter of ecology, relationship of organism with one another and with the environment. We were going through abiotic factors and we will continue it in this lesson also. Abiotic factor, we have to discuss oxygen today. Nematophores, these are kind of plants. These have breathing roots that arise from the root system above the mud, which is deficient of oxygen. So we see that their adaptation is these breathing roots which come from the main root system above the mud, since mud is deficient of oxygen and they need to have oxygen to carry on respiration. So these plants have adapted themselves by the formation of breathing roots. We see this in mangrove plants. This is the type of this plant. What these roots do, they have openings to take in oxygen, which is passed down to the whole root system down. This is the picture of a mangrove plant. If you see here, the soil seems to be very dry, and what this dry soil contains is less oxygen. So what this plant has done is it has roots that are coming out of this mud, soil or dry land, and what these roots are doing is they are working as breathing roots and taking in oxygen. Then we see abiotic factor of oxygen adaptation in fish and in frogs. If you know that water has dissolved oxygen, and for locomotion, for both of these conditions, for locomotion and to get the oxygen, both of these animals have adapted themselves. Gills are there for oxygen intake. There are webbed toes and fins for locomotion or for swimming in frogs and fish respectively. Then the abiotic factor we have to discuss is salt concentration. This will be discussed in case of fish that lives in fresh water and also those which live in seawater. Freshwater water animals have high concentration of salts compared to water around them. You can say that their body is having more salts compared to the outside environment. So water would move from higher concentration to lower concentration, or from area of higher water potential to low water potential. So to keep their water content of the body near to constant, what their kidneys do, they are adapted to reabsorb more salts, and they kind of do not reabsorb a lot of water and hence produce a large amount of dilute urine. This is homeostasis. Osmoregulation in freshwater animals is done by kidneys. Kidneys work as osmoregulators by absorbing salts and letting go of the excess water, so that the fish body contains nearly the constant levels of water. This is the diagram which will help you understand this. This is a fish which is residing in fresh water. So if you see that this fish is taking in food and water and ions, its body is taking ions through gills and water is coming into the body through gills and other body surface. And what its kidney is doing, it's excreting a large amount of water in dilute urine. Dilute urine would be produced in large amount to keep the internal environment constant. So now we have to see this phenomenon in seawater. How do they keep their water and salt concentration near to constant? So if you have the idea, seawater is hypertonic. It has lots of salt in it. Seawater fish would gain a lot of salt, less water and more salt from the environment. So now we have to see that how their kidney adapt themselves to regulate the amount of salt concentration and water in their body. They do it by absorbing water and eliminating the excess salts, making a small amount of concentrated urine. Its volume would be less and its concentration would be high. This is the diagram which will help you understand this. This is the fish which is residing in seawater. So when the fish would take in seawater would contain less water and more salts. So what this fish would do, it will actively transport ions out of the body, plus it will reabsorb a lot of water from the kidneys. So when kidneys reabsorb a lot of water, they will let go of excess salt. The concentration of urine would be high. I hope you know this phenomenon by going through your chapter of homeostasis. Now there is another freshwater unicellular organism which is called amoeba. If you know that freshwater, again, it's hypotonic, it contains less salts and more water. This is the amoebic movement, and if you see here, water enters through osmosis into its body, since it is higher in water potential outside than inside. So water move into the amoeba. The cycle would continue like this. Water gets into the body of amoeba, and then what will happen, that the excess water will be contained in a specialized vacuole called contractile vacuole. This vacuole will contain the excess water and will eliminate from the body of amoeba. Like if you have seen here that it is contractile, it will move towards the edge of the membrane and ultimately will expel the excess water. Next point is of pH. pH tells you whether the medium or the solution is acidic or basic. pH of seawater is around 8 and show only little variation throughout the year or throughout the day. pH of fresh water varies during the day and night. Why it happens? Because of photosynthesis and respiration, which are going side by side during the daytime. If you know that during the daytime, photosynthesis exceeds respiration. Water is more alkaline during the day when carbon dioxide produced by respiration is taken by aquatic plants for photosynthesis. It is showing you that photosynthesis during the day is exceeding respiration, hence there is more oxygen produced than carbon dioxide produced. Carbon dioxide which is produced by respiration would be used by plants in photosynthesis, hence the water levels would be more alkaline. On the other hand, during the night time, there is no photosynthesis happening, only respiration is there and it is producing carbon dioxide. Carbon dioxide is an acidic gas which will obviously decrease the pH of the water. So you see, water of fresh water will show variation in the pH during the day and night time.